Sweet. Okay, sweet. 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm so freaking excited to have Michael Booth with us today. This was totally off the cuff, which is like the best. I love it when we're not planning ahead with our people on the podcast. So Michael, thank you so much for coming on. Super, super appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me this drizzly day.
I know, it's
Excuse me, I got my
sad, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What's on your sandwich? I think that's the most important question that all of our listeners want to know.
It's ham, cheese, and Dijon mustard, that's it.
That's winning, though.
I couldn't be bothered chopping up a tomato.
Yeah, totally, and that involves a chopping board, so I totally get that.
Yeah. So just slap something together. We'll be fine.
Yeah, it's sweet. So for those watching or listening on the podcast who don't know Boothy, correct me if I'm wrong, but Boothy is a fucking amazing actor, an awesome director. He's a photographer and he's a playwright. Everything I've seen Boothy do, I've freaking loved and have just been so inspired. He's also a teacher, and some of the best truth bombs about acting and just the industry I've gotten from Boothy, and I've walked out and sort of gone, whoa. I've had those like really brain-bending moments. So I know so many people are going to get so much out of just hearing you chat with us today, Boothy. So thanks again. And I want to go right back to the start because I actually don't know your story. I don't know how you got into acting, and I don't know how this started for you. So I guess firstly, and the question we always ask our people on the show is like, what was the moment where you went acting, theater, that, film, whatever, that's what I want to do? Like, was it a play? Was it a film? Like, was it an experience? Like, what was it?
Well, I know I played Santa Claus when I was 4 at the end of year preschool Christmas pageant thing.
Okay.
And I remember, that's where I belonged, doing a show, being a show off or dressing up.
Yeah.
So I was that way inclined, definitely. And but I think I'd started to get real like, theater is. My mother was an actress. She let's say she is a former actress. That makes it sound more that she's still alive because she is, as opposed to she was an actress. And we grew up with a movie loving family. So it was natural to go that direction. From memory, a huge impact was seeing Hair. I think I was 12 at the Parramatta Riverside, and it was Terry Serio, who's a man on the scene to this day with his radio program and doing stuff. But yeah, he was the lead in Hair, and that was just such an awesome musical. And he was so charismatic and entertaining that I really wanted to do that. But I didn't do much acting growing up. Like, I did school plays. That's a couple of school plays, and then I did after high school. I knew I wanted to pursue it, and so I did audition for the major drama schools.
Okay.
And I did not get in. So I had friends at New South Wales University. I wasn't there. I was at Sydney University studying to be a maths teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I like maths and I didn't want to work too hard. Like, I didn't have any desire to do, a medical, a degree of science or anything. Just some, and it. I didn't finish the degree. I started doing plays at uni with my friends, and that became. I think I did about 12 plays or 15, about 12 plays in a 2-year period.
Wow.
So I'd be rehearsing one and then performing one. It just became the thing to do. And it was so easy. It had such good, simple facilities to put on a play that you could just pick your play. You get a little budget and you put it on for 5 nights. And then through that, I got into playwriting and directing. So I was about 19 at the time, and I just got really busy thinking, I can write. I got into writing because at the time, this is early 90s, and Tarantino was big on the scene in Seinfeld. It's saying my internet connection is unstable, by the way, but we're still now. Here.
Oh, poor. Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good. So I was really into writing like cool dialogue, fun, snappy repartee. Like banter. David Mamet was the playwright. Oleana had just come out, and that was causing a stir and a storm.
Both at the same time.
At the same time. The two-hander, where all the words are only on the left side of the page. I love that stuff. So that really got me inspired into how simple theatre can be. It's just two people talking to each other with conflicting intentions.
Yeah.
Talking to you makes me want to kind of rap. I don't know.
Oh my God, please rap. I'm so into that.
I've never rapped in my life, but it's just I don't know. I'm feeding off your vibe, man.
Yeah, good, cool.
So that's kind of how it started, and I just got really busy with it, and I dropped out. I decided not to pursue my maths teaching career, and a little play I wrote, I sent into NIDA. By the way, I was still trying to get into NIDA in those schools, and they wouldn't have me.
As an actor?
I think I sucked as an actor.
Right.
I think I sucked back in the day.
I just can't imagine you sucking, but okay, go on.
Look, I'm just trying to give this drama schools the benefit of the doubt. Either they had no idea or I sucked, or it was somewhere in between, or at the time it was just incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
And I just didn't make the cut. Either way, whatever way it actually went, I was not deterred. I was still like, I'm going to do it. And so I sent a script that I'd written, a little 15-minute play, to the playwright studio at NIDA, and I actually got into that. So I did that part-time for a year, the year after I'd quit my maths teaching dreams. And then that play, I wrote a 1-act play out of that course. And then a year later, that it fell into the hands of Jeremy Compston, who at the time was running Tamarama Rock Surfers, and had just found a potential venue downstairs at the back of this pub in Woolloomooloo called the Old Fitzroy. And this is in 1997. And would I be interested in them putting on my little 1-act play with 2 other 1-act plays? And I said that would be pretty cool. And so that happened. And that was the first show ever at the Fitz.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. Before they pulled the bar out there and like there was a bar down in that space.
Wow.
So that was like a nice entree into the theatre scene.
Yeah.
And one of the playwright of the other 1-act plays was written by Damon Harriman. The play was written by Damon Harriman, and so we've been best buds ever since. So that's how we met too.
So so it was your play. Were you guys acting in the plays too?
I didn't act in mine. Well, I don't know why I didn't. For some reason, I chose to bow out from the acting side of things.
Okay.
Crazy. I don't understand. I must have. had a good reason.
Yeah.
I was working full-time at the casino as a croupier, so I think I was just trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And thought, no, you can put on my play and I don't need to be in it. But, my career might have gone a completely different way had I been in it, because a lot of people saw that play. And for the next few years, people didn't even know of me as an actor. They said, oh, you're a writer. And I was conflicted at the time and thought, no, I want to be an actor. So I actually went off to New York a couple of years later and just did a summer program at the Atlantic. Speaking of David Mamet.
How was that?
It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It was like one of the best summers ever. And I felt home amongst I love New York, and feeling part of a theater family, and met some great people that are still friends to this day, and mainly got inspired. Came back and started a little theater company, and directed my first play outside of university, which was a play called Spike Heels, which is a terrific play, and we put that on at the Tap Gallery.
Yeah, right. So, but when you go to New York, was it nice to sort of, I mean, you went as an actor, you went to do the acting program for summer.
Oh.
Was it nice to be in a setting where people weren't going, hey, you're the writer. Hey, you're the writer. What makes you come back and then direct? Well, you were in Spike Hills as well. So is that right?
No, I wasn't in it.
You directed. So
I just directed it.
So what makes you come back to Sydney and not act?
That's an excellent question. Well, because I wasn't comfortable putting my directing and acting, and I just wanted to see the show go on.
Okay, yeah, right.
I think it's just my desire was to get a play on.
Yeah.
That was the desire. No one else was going to put on a play. So I did.
Yeah.
With two of my co-students from New York, Nadia Townsend and Larissa Poulos, who was training there that summer. And so they were in the play. I directed them, and then we cast a couple of other fellas. But by this point, I'd probably forgotten I was a writer anyway, because I procrastinated. Hadn't written anything else for 3 years.
Yeah.
Except a short film. I made a little short film about 6 months before I went to New York. That was my foray into filmmaking, and I kind of got a nice taste of that. A little Trop Fest film. Didn't get in.
Cool. So what was your favorite part of New York? And I asked that because I think every single person I've interviewed has been like, and they've all gone to New York actually, which is interesting. They've all said, yeah, the program was great, but the best part of New York, I learned the most in this thing that had nothing to do with acting.
Yeah.
Or was it Atlantic? That was what I learned my shit there.
No, I think it's been almost 18 years since I was there.
Wow.
Since that trip. And I would say, I'm probably, to answer your question, what was the best thing about it, is now kind of caught up with nostalgia. So I'm just going to say the smell and the heat. The heat, you don't have that kind of dry heat that's inescapable that is Manhattan. It's so flat, it's concrete. And every now and then I might get a gust of wind that's hot, and it'll take me right back. Yeah. So that was part of the experience. So and the same with the smell. It's not a pleasant smell, but it's unique to New York. Yeah. Anyway, nostalgically speaking, that's what I take away.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a place where you feel that you can reinvent yourself. No one judges you. There's so many characters there that you can be whoever you want to be.
Do you ever get that feeling in Australia, or not really?
Not really.
No.
Not to that extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not as wild and kooky as New York.
Yeah.
You know, I've always gravitated to the inner west of Sydney, Newtown, and I feel there's kind of you see more of diverse characters, if you will, from, you know, just artistic people, homeless people. Yeah. So, yeah, I get a taste of that being in the inner west of Sydney.
Right. So, okay, so after Spike Heels, is that where, so when you say you made a theatre company, is it the theatre company that still stands today?
No, we lasted about 3 months. We did Spike Heels, and then we, at the Tab Gallery.
That did quite well though, didn't it?
It did very well, and then we got picked up. We did it again at the Old Fitzroy about 5 years later. So that pattern of me doing a play at the Tap and then a play at the Old Fitz seems to continue to this day. Yeah, I've done that. We've made that little jump many times.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, me, Nadia and Larissa, who were, the company was called Wolf Whistle, by the way.
That's a great name.
Yeah, thanks. We just didn't really, I forget now, we just kind of like, we just didn't do anything after that together. Right. I just don't think it was the right marriage.
Okay.
It just wasn't the right marriage, I think. And then it was, yeah, a year later I started another company with my friend Amos Zepps, who I'd met back at the New South Wales Uni, and we'd actually done a couple of plays, or a play together then.
Yeah.
That's sort of four or 5 years earlier. And he felt like a partner in crime. So that's why, in fact, I kind of skipped over that part. Partly why I went to New York, and partly why I didn't mind not going to NIDA, was I'd start hanging out with this Amos guy, who to me was some freak genius actor who was so dedicated and heavily hardcore into Stella Adler and Uta Hagen's training. I just tried to soak it up from him. He taught me a lot about what it really means to be true in the moment, and interesting and detailed and unique, and charismatic and specific, and that changed my life. And I was seeing stuff that he was doing that I wasn't seeing coming out of drama schools. There was just some, so that was what inspired me to go to New York. And then, of course, what inspired me to disband Wolf Whistle. I'm sure Nadia and Larissa have their own version of that, but and then start another company with Amos, which we called the Group Theatre, which was completely ripping off the original Group Theatre's name from the 1930s in America. So we used their name as an homage to them. Yeah. Without saying the new or the Sydney Group Theatre, we just went with the Group Theatre. We figured not enough people know the name to kick up a stink, and for those who do know the name would probably not kick up a stink. They'd appreciate the gesture. As far as I know, nobody kicked up a stink.
Yeah, cool. So, all right. So, when do you start like acting? Like, when do you get an agent, and when do you start?
Yeah.
Or were you still just like theatre? Like, how does it all start to happen?
Yeah, good question. I didn't have an agent, and I was kind of intimidated by that side of the business.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I just want to get on the stage and just do it. I didn't have a business sense. I didn't have a headshot. I did have an agent once around that time, maybe. Didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I didn't have an agent till I was 26. And I'd just done a couple of plays with Amos.
Yeah.
as the group theatre, and he was represented at the time with Lisa Mann, and so she, the agent, who also represented and still does Damon Harriman.
Yep.
So I'd applied to her because I had been in a play and I think something at the Fitz, and she'd come to that and said, "Oh, look, let me just get in touch next time you're in something." And then I was again 6 months later. I was in another play with Amos. She came to that. We talked. We had an interview. The rest is history. But and then only then did I start to go up for like castings for commercials and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, to me, I'd been acting for 6 years without an agent, and not even with no pursuit of the industry whatsoever. Yeah. Just happily putting on a play or two a year, and probably out of my lack of drive in that department might have been purely out of fear. And like, you know, am I not really hanging with the big boys, or purely out of devotion to the artistic side and being quite happy and stimulated that way?
Yeah.
Probably a bit of both.
Do you put too much pressure or devote too much energy to that? Because I just know there's people in my life who sort of are like, well, if I don't have an agent, I can't do anything. What's the point of doing anything until I have an agent? Or I'm just going to do this show so an agent can come. Which to me, I'm like, oh, I don't think that's enough of a reason to do a show. Like, it's hard to do a show.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't do a show for an agent. No, you do a show. I treated everything I do as not a means to an end. It's the end.
Yeah.
And I was always able to. Well, by the way, I quit the casino well before this, but the whole time during this time, I was quite happy managing a cinema. So I had kind of I was working at the Verona Cinema in Paddington, and it suited me fine. At probably wasn't so gung ho ambitious. So I get to put on my plays and I get to watch movies. And I hang out with really awesome people who are still my best friends. So that was part of it, you know.
Yeah.
But then that didn't last forever. And I had to, what did I do? We're fast forwarding now. Well, I just started getting little gigs here and there.
Yeah.
Little guest spot on Packed to the Rafters and, you know, bits here. Not much, nothing sustainable long term.
Right.
I still had, side jobs. Yeah. But was also still, I hadn't written, my writing was still not very prolific.
Right.
My love had.
When did you go to Chicago?
That's the bit I skipped.
Yeah, like how did you get there? Like, when was the first time you heard of Steppenwolf and went, yeah, that's where I need to go? Because I think it's you and I just think Steppenwolf. Like,
I first heard about Steppenwolf maybe when I was a teenager because I liked John Malkovich.
Okay.
Around the time that, you know, I was talking about Tarantino and Mamet, Malkovich was a big deal as well.
Yeah.
And Joan Allen. So this is all these people were sort of bursting into the cinema. Like Joan Allen did The Crucible with Daniel Day-Lewis, and I was really big, and they came out of Steppenwolf. So I knew about Steppenwolf. And then I'd seen one of the defining moments for me in terms of theatre was set when I was 17 and saw on some Sunday afternoon SBS screening of Sam Shepard's True West with John Malkovich and Gary Sinise, and I thought it was extraordinary. I'd never seen, it's so dynamic what Malkovich particularly was doing. It was crazy, and I wanted to act like that. So I actually went to Chicago 2 years after Atlantic, and did the summer school there. So I skipped that bit. Yeah. 2001. So yeah, I did my little bit in New York, and I went, I'm going to go back. A friend of mine from the Atlantic did Steppenwolf the following year, and he raved about it, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. So that's when I went. Chicago 2001. And that very much cemented that I am home in the theatre. That's probably what it was. That's probably why I didn't pursue an agent, because I was so inspired. This Chicago mentality, because if you think about it, these guys, they're not on the coast. They're not New York, and they're not LA. And so not people in that town aren't scrambling around, you know, with their headshots, and they're doing their thing. And there's not that sort of desperation. It's like, no, we're here to fucking put on a play, man. There's a sort of a chilled out feeling and a support and a community that is not as ambitious to get somewhere. It's like, we're already here, dude.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's what Steppenwolf was. Steppenwolf, I was inspired because they had built this. They were just actors around the age of 20, 21 at university who wanted to put on plays. And that's what I was doing. So I thought, well, that's and it just reinforced the play is the thing. So you don't have to do anything else. So now I've just explained to myself why I didn't have an agent for so long and didn't care. It wasn't laziness. That's right.
So how did you transition when you came home? And I only asked that because I personally, when I came back from Japan, from Suzuki's company, I found it really hard to transition. And I would try and implement that community here. Yeah. And it was sort of okay for a while, but then you inevitably hit roadblocks because we just simply don't have the community here. And that we're not in that philosophy. A lot of people around us aren't. So like, how did you handle that? And what are your tips and ways to protect yourself? Because it's inevitable. Yeah. It's like post-show blues, but kind of worse because it's like philosophical.
Yeah, totally. I came back and went straight into putting on a play.
Yep.
I picked David Mamet. There's that Mamet guy again. Sexual Perversity in Chicago. So clearly I didn't want to give up on Chicago.
Yeah.
My fellow students at Steppenwolf had formed a theatre company that summer, and called the Gift Theatre Company. It's run by a guy named Michael Patrick Thornton, who was my buddy that year. I'd actually said I would stay in Chicago and work with them.
Wow.
And they asked me to, and I said yes. And then I think I went to Europe. I had made a short film, and in the 2 weeks I was away, I got really homesick, and I didn't want to face no money, no job, no visa. I went, you know what? I'm going home. I went home, and that could have been the biggest sliding doors moment of my career and life. To this day, I think they were maybe a little bit disappointed because I said I would, but I hit the ground running and that's when I formed the group theater.
Right.
And we put on Sexual Perversity in Chicago. And I said, well, I'm happy to do in Sydney what my friends are doing in Chicago. And so within a couple of, by December it was on. Just get the rights, find a venue. In those days we hired out downstairs Belvoir. Got no money, just put on a credit card, trust you'll pay it, like people will come. I'm a big fan of Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And they did. So I didn't have, that was the transition. That was the beginning of 2002. And then that year I decided it was time to write another play. So I kind of focused on some, that play was, I just lip read you there. I couldn't hear you, but I know you said, and what was that play?
Really? That's amazing.
There you go. That play was called Smell the Roses, a two-hander with all the writing on the left side of the page. About a female therapist and her male patient. The male patient was a bit of having marital problems, but he had fallen in love with the therapist. She, of course, suggested that was transference. and wasn't real, but he was so convinced that it was real, it became a battle about him trying to seduce his therapist, and her being pressed to break professional boundaries. And we did that the following year.
Yeah, right.
At Downstairs Belvoir again, and as a double bill with another play that I acted in that time. So because I was keen to do some acting.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
in terms of Downstairs Belvoir not being a thing anymore, obviously I wasn't here when Downstairs Belvoir was a thing. I actually had one of my acting teachers at acting school was the second in command to Neil Armfield when it was a thing. He would talk about it all the time, about how progressive it was and how awesome it was. So when I moved to Sydney and it was shut, it was like, right. So how much of an impact did that have? Because I could see that it had an impact, but because I wasn't here, it didn't really, I was like, the emotion for me wasn't attached, but from what I could see, it was terrific.
Well, I think it was having that venue as able to be hired by outside companies. It was a bit like having the Fitz. It's just like, oh, what if the Fitz just closed down or wasn't available for? Yeah, it just meant there was one less venue opportunity to go and see independent theatre. I forget what happened. I mean, I think then Belvoir just took it over, and so it was part of Company B for both Up and Down, maybe. But you just didn't have access to put on plays there. It was a shame. It just meant I had to go back to the Tap Gallery.
Which is a cool venue, but I don't understand what's happening with it. Is it closed too?
Look, I haven't checked in with as far as putting on a play upstairs, I believe it's still closed. Yeah. And that's a matter of getting the right fire what do you call that? Insurance, liability, cover. Because it's but I think hopefully I don't know what's happening with it, whether the owners are going to buy it, but it's been, if anyone wants to find out and then resurrect it, please do.
Yeah, please. Please, someone. Anyone.
Yeah. Well, that was my go-to place, certainly to put on a play.
Yeah.
For 15 years.
Yeah, right.
And easy because I'm not a very good planner headerer. Yeah. I don't know. And with that place, you could sort of go, what's going on in June? Oh, cool. You got a space available? Okay, I'll think of a play and we'll put it on.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, you've got to know 18 months ahead.
So I get what I want to know, and I think is really important for actors to know. And I think your story is awesome because I think, I certainly felt this. When I met you, I was like, Boothie just must have like gone to acting school and gotten an agent immediately and been working. Like people just make assumptions, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome to hear your story because it's like you go the back way and that's totally okay and almost preferable, right?
Yeah.
So obviously we can't all work all the time. I mean, it'd be nice. But there are times where there's like dry spells or, you work heaps and then nothing. You work heaps and then nothing. What do you do? What do you do in those times? Like, how do you stay active? How do you not lose faith? How do you not spiral?
Yeah. Well, I think I've always had to have a project on.
Yep.
Always. I think the longest I've gone without some semblance of a project in motion has been about 2 weeks.
Wow.
And that's like, what am I going to do now? I should actually get back to writing that thing that I've been sitting, whatever it is. I feel very lost if I'm not doing something. I did this this TV series called Wonderland. Yeah. And when I auditioned for that, for a regular role on a series, and felt very good about the audition, and that audition came a couple of weeks after I'd audited Larry Moss, and I had a kind of a kick in the pants about putting in a little bit of extra effort into script analysis for a scene, and it paid off. And for the first time ever, I quit the day job and could support myself indefinitely as an actor. It was a good feeling.
Yeah.
And I was only 36, you know. Something that William H. Macy, who was a guest speaker at Atlantic when we were there, he said it takes about 20 years to learn how to act really well. And a lot of you won't be in here doing it in 20 years. And that 20 years is not up yet. So I feel like, I'm still yet to graduate into the rank of like exceptionally good. So that keeps me inspired, that attitude.
I love that, because then it's like a consistent apprenticeship, and it's not.
It is.
I think it's hard right now because particularly like our generations, I feel like we're the 2-minute noodle generation. I had a movement teacher who would always say that to me. You're the 2-minute noodle generation. Like, you want everything now. You don't do any work for it.
Yeah.
And it's like you're not comfortable doing work for it because you're taught by social media or the news or whatever that you don't have time. You have time.
Yeah. Well, the thing that really affected me was when I was in Steppenwolf, was watching this teacher, actor Austin Pendleton do Uncle Vanya at the time, and to this day, probably the best thing I've ever seen. And certainly his acting just was exactly the kind of acting that I'd always dreamed of seeing or doing, and he was doing it. And it was so beautiful and simple and wonderful. Yeah. And he was 61 at the time. And I thought, wow, I'm watching a master actor, a master. And I thought, if I could be 61 and that good, I'd be happy. That's a life devoted to this thing. So I felt like, well, okay, the pressure's off. And I asked Austin, like, when, specific questions about his performance. How did you have, that moment? How did you know to play it like that and so simple? And he kind of just smiled and said, "Oh, Boothie, I mean, I didn't get that until I was well into my 40s, probably not even into my 50s before that penny dropped. Wow. Don't worry. You're fine." And if anyone knows Austin Pendleton, tell me if that was a half-decent impersonation of him. I think it was pretty good impersonation. And, so I kind of have had that attitude as well, that, look, if things aren't, to be 35 and still not be able to quit your day job, to some that would be suicidal, like depressing. Like, what am I doing with my life? And I had those moments.
Yeah.
But what's driven me is that I've just always been obsessed with acting on a philosophical and scientific, trying to understand this craft thing. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Why? I think it's important to talk about this, particularly at the moment, arts funding cuts, and I totally get the argument that, we should still be putting stuff on, but I personally think, younger generations coming up, cellularly, inevitably, they're going to think that making art and putting plays on is stupid or second rate because if the government's cutting money and we're not doing, you know what I mean? It's inevitable. So why, in your opinion, is theatre important?
There's something about it being so immediate that I think can't be replaced. If someone is in the same room with you, that has a galvanizing and organic feeling that no other medium can provide. Yeah. Look, as far from where I'm coming from and the kind of work that I've done, theatre being topical has always been a thing. Generally speaking about theatre, but never necessarily something for me, But I think when theatre is good, it's just better than any other medium. It rocks your world, and you never forget it. It becomes a moment in your life. Like, I remember that night I saw that play. And a lot of people who don't go to the theatre have that same experience. when it's good. You know, they're not regular theatre goers, but doesn't mean that if they would still like it if they saw something that was good. And there'll never be a shortage of actors wanting to act on stage. It's the best medium to act in, I think.
Yeah.
You know, the writing's always better. I mean, not always, but generally, you know, you get to act unbroken. The scenes go for 20 minutes. There's no cuts. There's no repeats. It's you get rehearsal time. There's nothing better.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing actors now, particularly the ones coming through, the ones who go, I want to be an actor, and they're like 17?
That's a great question. Well, to me, the biggest challenge for me personally has always been confidence.
Yeah.
Or self-confidence. Mm-hmm. Just believing that, like, you if you want to be an actor, and I encourage everyone who says they're even thinking about being an actor, I say go for it. Like, you know, because I think everyone should do something creative and explore who they are. You've only got one shot in life, and if you were here on this earth 70, you know, years give or take, and didn't explore who you are to your fullest potential, I feel like, well, that's a shame, because unless you believe in reincarnation, that was your opportunity and you didn't do it. So I'm always so in terms of, okay, your question, what's the biggest challenge? Yeah, I still think the challenge is fear, self-doubt. Sorry?
Mindset.
Yeah. I also say don't be, the biggest challenge would be with the bombardment of YouTube and what have you. I think there'd be bad role models.
Okay.
I don't think actors should aspire to be good looking and glamorous. And with so much fame being the thing, I think it's going to be damaging for a lot of people who might not think they could be an actor because they look a certain way, perhaps. That's the other beauty about theatre, and focusing on that kind of work. It doesn't matter what you look like. You don't have to have the right cheekbones to be a great theatre actor. I was always a little self-conscious about my cheekbones.
Why?
And you know, just kind of, well, it's probably why I always have sideburns and beards. It's fun. My face is like Mr. Potato Head. You can change it around and make other characters out of it. But anyway.
Love it.
Yeah, I guess that's a challenge, to be seduced by, nowadays more and more actors are going to LA. There's this, it's easy to do self-tapes, pilot season. Not that now that may seem like more opportunity, right?
Yeah.
But I can only speak for myself. I've never gone to LA. I've never had any interest in going to LA. And I think I got that from the Chicago attitude. And I might have had a success had I done that, but I feel very happy that I've always been in love with acting and with theatre and cinema, and I didn't necessarily fall out of love with it. And so it's just very important to be in love with it. I think that's key. You must be. Treat it like a marriage, and be a good spouse. Don't just say, what can acting do for me, but what can I do for acting? And understand your ambition.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's something other than fame. Yeah. If that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I mentioned earlier that you directed the best play I've seen all year.
Oh,
or last year? Was it last year? I'm losing track of time.
Yeah. In the all year, in the last 12 months.
In the last 12 months, you directed the best play I've ever seen, and you wrote it too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I co-wrote it with my buddy Alistair, who I run the theatre company with.
And what's your theatre company now?
Cathode Ray Tube.
And where did that name come from? What's the story?
Well, I saw a production of The Great Gatsby at the Sydney Theatre. It was called Gats. Did you see that or hear about it?
Yeah, I did.
It was amazing. I thought it was brilliant. It was the entire text of F. Scott Fitzgerald's book with nothing was adapted. It was the entire novel performed. So it went for 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
It worked. The company who put it on are called Elevator Repair Service. And
I was still in Brisbane, but they brought it to Brisbane.
Oh, okay.
The festival. Yes, I did see it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. It was cool. And it was cool in Brisbane. I don't know if you could do it in Sydney, but you could like go out, get your cup of coffee, come back in. Like,
oh, nice.
Yeah, it was cool. Sorry, continue.
Well, I was just thought, what a weird, I don't know what elevator repair service is that. I assume they just took that as a random name. Maybe there was a reason for it, but I like the idea of having a name that had no meaning necessarily to be a theatre company. Yeah. It just sounded good. I mean, a cathode ray tube is the television. It's the component of the television, the old television, before plasma and LCD and LE, whatever.
Really?
The tube. Why do we call it YouTube? Because it's the tube. I'm watching the tube, which is why they used to be so fat. But that has no meaning on why. I just thought it sounded cool. Like a band. I was thinking more because we're thinking of being we're like a band. There's only 3 of us. And I felt, well, we should name ourselves what is REM as a band? Rapid Eye Movement. It just sounds, U2.
Yeah.
It's just, these band names don't necessarily have maybe they do, but so honestly, it's probably a disappointing answer. It's like,
no, it's not.
The name has no meaning.
Yeah, sweet. That's awesome.
But it coincides with the dying out of that television. You can't even, those TVs can't even, you can't sell them.
Really?
They won't even, they're scrap. So maybe it's also a tribute. No, I'm just making that up, but it sounds good.
So
yes.
The play was 33.
Yeah.
Which just rocked my world. I couldn't shut up about it. I told everyone to come, and I think I posted it on Facebook about 28,000 times for everyone to go and see it.
Well, that was so lovely of you.
Didn't you see it? Where you stop tagging me? I get it. It's my play. I know. So, I mean, that's the only play I've seen of yours, and yeah, it's the only one because I haven't really been in Sydney that long, in comparison to your crew and how long you guys have been here. But where did the inspiration for that come from? Because what I loved about it is I just felt so uncomfortable the whole time. It was really going to a really awkward birthday party.
Yeah.
And getting too drunk. I felt drunk. I wasn't even, I had one drink that night, and I was I feel really tense and anxious, and I don't want to be at this party. Fuck this party. But also there were some points where I was oh my God, I'm loving being fly on the wall right now. So was it from an actual party you went to, or a couple of parties, or?
Actually, no. We did 33 in 2011. Now the year before that, I'd written a play called That Old Chestnut, and that was set in a restaurant for the most part. It was 2 couples who go to a restaurant, and one had an affair, had cheated on his wife, and it was really a cross purposes, very realistic potboiler that pulled an audience in, but was very simple, and played on the hypernaturalism of it, which has always been my brand and always my interest in theatre, that it feels very real and it feels very spontaneous, without losing any of the power of the stakes of the drama. In fact, I always think the more real it is, the higher the drama.
Yeah.
Because if you do something very real and there's a UFO in it, then that's going to be extraordinary. Oh my God, there's a UFO. But if it's sort of stylized and there's a UFO, it suits the style. I don't know if that made sense, but So we wanted to, and we had a great team. There was me and Alistair and Jessica Wren, and it was a 4-handed or a 5-handed doing that. We just wanted to work again, the same cast essentially.
Yeah.
And so we decided to write a play for the actors who were in it, and something simple and real that could be really juicy, like The Restaurant. I think we just came up with an idea, maybe just a party play, which, I don't know, felt like doing a Chekhov, because, Three Sisters opens, it's just a party, a birthday party. People standing around, very simple, you can do it in one set, doing it, it's set in a living room. So I think that's where the ideas came from for the concept or the premise. And then what happened was, well, we knew like the shit has to hit the fan. And so we had, I think Alistair came up with the characters, very simple sort of broad strokes, character descriptions. We assigned those characters to each actor. We then, I said, well, look, you've got to want something specific from each of the other 5 characters. So what is your want for each of the other 5? What is your, I think, subconscious want for each of the other 5? So that's 10 wants per actor. There's 60. So we had 60 wants, all crisscrossing each other. She's in love with this guy, but she's never told him, but he's actually married to her. So she wants to be friends with the wife and on her good side, but wants him to notice her. Something like that. And then just play that out. We kind of improvised it a little bit, but then we just wrote the script based on that.
So all the actors were in the space improvising, and then you wrote around it.
We did a little, my memory's a bit foggy, but it was... Yeah. We didn't do much formally improvising, but I think we maybe talked it out, played it out, or at least they brought in what their wants would be. Cool. And it just sort of then it almost wrote itself. So Alistair went away and we fleshed out a draft and then tweaked it over a few months. And then it was on at the famous Tap Gallery.
What I love about it is I feel like it's quite universal. So how was the response in 2011 in comparison to 2016?
Very, like, in terms of its themes, and you say universal, definitely. Yeah.
I just feel like it's something you could pick up like in any year and it would still just be relevant. Like,
definitely. I think the themes are universal. They're talking about getting older and marriage and responsibilities and work and drinking too much and I think it was very universal and relatable because the characters were some were based on people we know,
right? Maybe
extension of the original actor or friends we know. So we were determined that we're not commenting on these characters. We're not making a comment on the characters, which is a key thing. I think it's a fundamental mistake that a lot of actors do, particularly in Australian films and whatnot, is you can see that they know the character from the outside and making a comment. Oh, this person's a bogan. That's called satire. It has its place, but you can't do that in drama. And so the play is not a satire. Definitely not. But people are familiar with that behavior. Nothing in the play has not happened in our lives. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I'll just caveat and say, or people I know,
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, I loved it, and I just wish that I was seeing more stuff like that because it was life. Like, I felt genuinely uncomfortable. I felt, and I could relate to all of them, and every single one of them, I know one of them. I have one of them in my life, which is so cool. And I'm sure, and what I loved like playing with the space because I only saw it once, which is devastating. I really wanted to sit on the other side.
Yeah.
I love that as well. So interesting.
Well, that was a gift, and that certainly was different this time around.
Because the other one was theatre, like traditional.
The other one was theatre, but still, the other, like, the thing about Cathode Ray Tube is that we didn't have a formal director. It wouldn't have it. We would market everything as not having a director.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Why?
Well, because I don't like. I've got issues with authority. I don't. Well, this way I could be direct and be in it. I won't say that I directed the thing, but we could direct it together without one singular person's vision for it. It was our vision. We wrote the thing. We conceived it. We're putting it on. We're treating ourselves like a band. We don't have one person conducting us. So in the Tap Gallery space, it still had there was a looseness to it. This is a show about people getting drunk. It was messy. It should have felt to the audience like, is this scripted? Is this directed? Or are they just like up there getting drunk? And I wanted people to think we're actually getting drunk. Yeah. Some nights we were. That was the other thing.
Okay.
Because it's just that idea of it's rock and roll theater, anything goes. We're at the Tap Gallery. It didn't cost us a huge budget to put this thing on. This is about people misbehaving. Let's get up there and misbehave in the context of the play. So it had a real wildness to it. And I think we can, this time around at the Fitz, I think it continued that wildness by virtue of the new venue. That you were just fly on the wall. And then because I was directing, I could just sit it out and just have a perfect cast. I thought those guys did such an amazing job, and they are amazing. To understand this has to be spontaneous. Nothing's preset. Well, I mean, it's all preset, but nothing behaviorally is locked in, you know.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And now you're directing it for film, which is super
exciting. Sorry?
That's super exciting.
Oh, yeah, that's tremendously exciting. It seemed, it was actually like a logical next step. Yeah. And particularly if none of the actors have skipped town, and it's all set in one location, just transfer the play as we did it into a house and film it. That's in essence what there is to it. And so we're just getting ready to do that in the next 5 weeks.
Wow. Oh wow, that's incredible. So it's soon.
Yeah, it's soon.
It's really
we were going to do it like last year, like within a few weeks of finishing the show.
Yeah.
But that just wasn't practical, and there was Christmas. But the idea, like, quick, whilst the actors, it's like just doing another run in a different venue. That's the idea. So yeah, that's why it's soon.
Yeah, cool. That's
but it's very exciting. Just to capture because there's so many moments in that play and there's so much going on, subtlety, like those 60 wants, the subconscious wants. Well, now as a director, you can kind of highlight some. Yeah. And because the camera can pick up on little nuances of, oh, she's looking at him when he said that. Why? You know, things like that. So it'll be great, I think.
Yeah. And so we're nearly finished, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about your teaching. So have you always taught? And if not, like, why, what's the pull now to teach? And what are your big things that you want to give to younger actors? Because I've heard nothing but amazing things about your classes. And I've like kind of worked with you as a teacher in a non-formal setting.
Yeah.
So, and I really enjoyed it. So I would love to hear like what your philosophy is when you're teaching.
Well, I first dabbled in teaching a class 9 years ago.
Right.
And that's because I'd been like I said earlier, I'm obsessed with, I think about acting a lot.
Yeah.
This crazy old thing called acting, and what makes, what makes some people better than other people. You know, people can come from different drama schools. Someone went to NIDA, someone went to WAPA, and one's not, you know, someone's better than others. And so, well, if they're learning different or the same thing, why does one person stand out over their classmates? Because I refuse to think that it's all about talent and luck. And what has led me to really be compelled to teach is that I started formulating my own ways of explaining what acting is.
You're right.
That and I really worked hard on being articulate about, because I have a desire to, when I speak to anyone about anything, I usually have a desire for people to get it. I was the guy in the maths class where my friend beside me was scratching their head, and I go, "Oh no, what he was saying was this," and it's just a different way of explaining it, clarifying. I get a kick out of that. I love seeing the penny drop.
Yeah.
And with acting, a penny dropped for me about what we are actually doing when we are communicating on stage or in acting, what we're actually doing and what it means to be affecting the other person, so that they are listening to you when you speak, and that you are not acknowledging that they are listening to as you speak. There is an organic exchange going on. It's an energy. So when the stakes go up and the dialogue is actually quite juicy, it's palpably dramatic without you having to do any acting.
Yeah.
And I've sort of expanded on that. It's really, really, really simple. But so I'm actually just starting to sneak my own approach into my classes. I think I need more time to like, as in a longer course, for it to have its full potential realized. But I think we could. I'm just very excited that it has a lot of potential. We could get a lot. I just want there to be more good acting.
Yeah.
And I think mistakes actors can make, I think, can be sometimes simply remedied.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean their talent they're not talented. It's just like, oh, you're doing this thing. You know, if you didn't do that thing, you'd be fine. And, that kind of thing, without going into specifics. But I'm compelled.
I really love that you say, like, you're working against that thing of talent and luck. Like, I love that so much, because I truly believe that just fucks so many, particularly younger actors, up, because they just think, and it's getting back to that whole, oh, I'm not pretty enough, I don't look a certain way.
Yeah.
Getting into that territory too. It's so important that we have people like you really working against that.
Yeah.
The truth.
Yeah.
Telling the truth.
Yeah. And look, you've got to stick it out. Like, I think William H. Macy was right that there is luck in your career as an actor, but I don't think luck means that it will or it won't happen. It's just, luck just means when will it happen. For some, it's sooner than later. Yeah. I was a roulette dealer, right? I know a lot about probability. That's what luck is. Like, if you put your number on 35 black, eventually it will come up, right? Eventually it will come up. It's just a matter of time. And if you're a good actor, eventually you will get noticed for it. Like, I'm convinced of that. I don't know a great actor who has disappeared into obscurity because they never got their moment. Yeah. Unless they gave up too soon. And it's a matter of just lengthening that idea of what too soon is, you know. And I think 20 years is reasonable. If you're willing to give this a 20-year shot, I think your luck will come inside of that 20 years. In fact, I promise it, if you keep working hard. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I just want to personally thank you, because I just think, like, you're just such an amazing example of leading with love and leading with service to the play, and like cutting out the bullshit of ego and comparison and doing this for the right reasons. So as a younger actor, I want to thank you so much, particularly for your time and your voice, and for like you teaching. I just think that's the coolest thing in the world. And I know that this podcast and this Zoom call is going to affect so many for the better, and
Yeah.
it's going to calm a lot of anxiety for a lot of younger actors. So thank you so very much. We're so grateful for your time.
Well, thanks, Steph. It's a real honor and a privilege to be given the opportunity to say this stuff. So if people get something from it, I'm thrilled.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Steph.
Thank you so much, Boothie. Have a beautiful day.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
Bye.